If you knew with absolute certainty that you would never be caught, would you still follow the rules? Think about it. If you could steal, cheat, or lie with total immunity from any consequence, what would keep you in line? That exact question was posed over 2,000 years ago by the Greek philosopher Plato inside his famous dialogue, The Republic. To test human nature, Plato's brother Glaucon shares the myth of Gyges. According to the story, Gyges is a humble shepherd tending his flock when an earthquake rips open the ground. Down in the chasm, he finds a mysterious golden ring that grants him the power of complete invisibility. Stripped of the fear of discovery, the shepherd's ambition runs wild. He uses the ring to infiltrate the palace, seduce the queen, assassinate the king, and take the throne of Lydia for himself. Glaucon uses this story to outline an idea philosophers call contractarianism. This is the theory that justice is merely a social contract. We agree not to harm others, so they won't harm us, meaning we only behave morally out of a fear of punishment. Glaucon argues that if you gave this exact same ring to two different people, one considered highly virtuous and the other a known criminal, both would ultimately commit the same terrible acts. If he's right, human morality is an illusion. Our sense of right and wrong is nothing more than a fragile social performance we put on to protect ourselves from each other. This forces us to ask what actually happens when we remove that social pressure. Does immunity from consequence grant you absolute freedom? We can test this through literature. In 1897, H.G. Wells wrote The Invisible Man, running a simulated experiment on Glaucon's exact premise. Wells's protagonist, Griffin, achieves invisibility to escape the burdens of society, but without normal human interactions and boundaries, he quickly degrades. He becomes fiercely paranoid, hostile, and alienated from the rest of humanity, turning his life into a miserable nightmare. J.R.R. Tolkien explored a highly similar dynamic. The One Ring grants invisibility, but rather than liberating the wearer, it amplifies their darkest desires and binds them to the ring's overwhelming will. These narratives suggest that a life without social boundaries produces isolation and paranoid terror rather than the liberation Glaucon predicted. Back in the Republic, Socrates offers a direct rebuttal to Glaucon, completely inverting the argument. To explain why the unjust man is miserable, Socrates introduces the concept of the tyrannical soul, a psychological state where a person's worst impulses take total control of their mind. Socrates' model features two mental forces, structured shapes representing reason, and chaotic elements representing appetites. Committing crimes without consequence lets chaotic appetites violently overthrow rational thought, pinning reason into a corner. Trapped in an endless feedback loop, you become a slave to your insatiable hunger. Socrates proves that the unpunished tyrant is actually the least free person imaginable. They are a prisoner trapped entirely by their own internal chaos. This leads Socrates to a shocking diagnosis. Successfully getting away with an injustice is the most catastrophic fate a human being can suffer. Getting caught and facing societal punishment is painful, but it serves a vital purpose. It acts as an external check that tames your dark impulses, allowing your mind to restore its internal order. This brings us to the difference between instrumental value, doing something just because it keeps you out of jail, and intrinsic value, meaning something is inherently good for you, regardless of the physical outcome. Justice provides the internal harmony required for a free and healthy mind. The Ring of Gyges forces us to confront our own integrity by stripping away every external incentive to do the right thing. Your true character is defined exclusively by the choices you make in the dark, in those quiet moments when the threat of society is completely removed. When you act unjustly in secret, the world may never know, but you irrevocably damage the only judge you can never escape, yourself.